so the group that is developing guidelines for physical activity for the world. And now he's working with his people on the next global action plan for physical activity for the next 10 years. Emmanuel is also the editor of British Journal of Sports Medicine, so we are very happy to have you, Emmanuel.
As already introduced, I was very fortunate to be born in a very beautiful part of this world, in a small village, in the island of Crete, in Greece. And this is the very first football pitch till the age of 10. I cannot remember when I started playing. I was too young to have a memory. I think it was 4, 5, 6. I remember all my childhood flooded with football memories. I used to play football all the time. So this is where we used to play. It's the parking lot of our church. So as you can imagine, we would get very upset when people were dying and getting married because we would lose access to our football pitch. And conversely, because it was a very small community, that village, we would be very excited to hear that couples break up, so weddings get cancelled. Okay, so sadly my generation, like the previous generation and the following generation to us, we stopped playing. We stopped playing and we stopped moving. There is a pandemic of physical inactivity. In WHO, in physical activity and public health, we define physical inactivity as not meeting the physical activity recommendations. And the physical activity recommendations put forward by the WHO, as Magnus said, we're updating them at the moment. It's not much. We're talking about 2.5 hours of walking per week, or an hour and 15 minutes of doing sports and exercise, vigorous intensity activity, or equivalent combinations of those two intensities. So it's not much. However, the majority of the adult population throughout the world are physically inactive. They don't even meet these guidelines. So where are we heading in terms of global trends in physical activity? We are not going the right direction, unfortunately. So this is an analysis, a paper that was published last year, shows that at least in high-income countries, we have an increase of physical inactivity. So this figure, this trend, the increase in physical activity from 32% to 37% within a space of less than 20 years, is not taking into account how much strength exercise people do, which is the secondary guideline. So in reality, the prevalence of physical inactivity is somewhere up here, around the region. If we were to take into account strength training as well, because only a minority do strength training, the prevalence of physical inactivity in 2019 would be somewhere 70, 80, 90%. We haven't estimated, we haven't calculated exactly. So it is a very big problem, and that poses a challenge for any strategy, any action plan. This is why we need to do something about it. That's why we needed the Global Action Plan on Physical Activity. I'll be referring to it as GAPA from now on. It's a long name. That's why we needed very urgently GAPA. So the WHO, the World Health Organization executive, requested the development of GAPA in early 2017. It was published, I can't remember the month exactly, it was second half of 2018, so not that long ago. And I should highlight here the importance of leadership in public health. So GAPA is the brainchild of the lady you see here, Professor Fiona Ball. Renowned academic in public health and epidemiology. She holds academic positions at the University of Loughborough, University of Western Australia. She has worked for the Centre of Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. And we're very, very fortunate to have Professor Ball leading the physical activity part component of WHO. The target that GAPA has set is to reduce physical inactivity by 15%, a relative 15% within the next 10 years. Because of the actions that need to be taken, and because we're talking about high-level actions, policy actions, environmental changes, it's a very ambitious target. Within 10 years, I'll be very, very happy to see progress towards the right direction. I don't think that it's very important whether physical activity will be reduced by 5%, 10%, or 15%. We need, first of all, to reverse the trend because it's going the wrong direction, and then build all the foundation we need so that policy is in place. The Global Action Plan on Physical Activity was released by WHO in 2018, and it is a long-term strategy on how to make the globe physically active, how to resolve the problem of physical inactivity. It has set a very ambitious target to reduce physical inactivity by 15% by 2030, and I believe that Football is Medicine has a tremendous potential to be a platform towards achieving this goal.